This DFS Picks Week 11 edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is presented by WynnBet. WynnBet is now live in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia. From boosted same-game parlays to live in-game odds, WynnBet has what you need to win. Sign up today, bet $100 and get a $100 free bet at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBet. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBet.
This is Randy Cross. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Long, Cox.
He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer? Dong.
Strapped to my own fantasy every day, Sean.
Yes, we are locked in. We are talking. Did I say DFS picks week 11? I may have messed that up.
I think you might
in
have
the
said
pre-run.
11.
Well, we are not that far in the future. We are talking NFL DFS picks week 10. Shout out to us though. We did have. I had the Mooney Fields. I think you had Fields as well. The winner, Ryan, and we'll get to that as we break down the winner. It's always kind of fun to take a look at the who brought home, who became a millionaire because of Justin Fields fantasy. Didn't go far enough as far as double stacking with the bring back on Tyreek Hill.
We haven't had the conversation.
No, I know, that's what's so annoying.
Is it still the way to play? Oh, I was too much of a pussy to pull the trigger with Justin Fields.
No, well, at least we both had Justin Fields. Mooney was in there. I had given up on Cole Kmet. Please forgive me, Cole Kmet. I did not think you'd be getting 2 touchdowns. He hasn't had a game yet with 50 receiving yards, so maybe a little outlier there with the touchdown. But they are playing the Detroit Lions. I'm still scared overall of division games, and we keep seeing this every. We should go back and do a deeper dive, but these non-conference games are really where the points are scored. It seems for a season that's been, I think, like something crazy, like 62% on the under. I think the non-conference ones have been the ones to look to play the over.
And I think you're bleeding into my process because I don't think I have a ton of divisional players, if any, this week.
Yeah. All right, let's get to it. Let's talk daily fantasy. But hey, what about the fantasy of betting $100 for free? That fantasy can come true if you go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBet. Bet big, win bigger with WynnBet. They got it all. The same game parlay, AKA building your own bet. Look at that thing go. Putting together a monster same game parlay. Of course, whoever hits the biggest parlay with the longest odds, you get a $1,000 free bet from WynnBet. Of course, any parlays you throw in down, you can spin the parlay wheel, maybe get an odds boost, maybe get a sweet prize. They just figure out how to take care of you over at WynnBet. Also, they have you can connect your win rewards. So if you're a guy who plays a lot on WynnBet, and you should be, tie in those rewards, get some free stays, free meals over at the beautiful Wynn in Las Vegas. Bet big, win bigger with WynnBet. SportsGamblingPodcast.com/WynnBet. That's SportsGamblingPodcast.com/WynnBet. Shout out to the chat. James S saying, I know you guys are on Arkansas plus the points, even with the status of the quarterback. Yeah, I'm all in on Arkansas. We'll wait to find the best number. It seems like I don't know where the line's moving.
Seems like
this is just an auto letdown LSU fade spot for me.
Per our company happy hour seems like a very contrarian take to have LSU. So amongst the sharps, that is.
No, I mean I'm on Arkansas. You are as well, right?
Yeah, no, I mean I think Arkansas and Seattle are 2 games. I'm still not figuring out the number.
Yeah. Terrell Furman in the chat. Terrell, as he's pointing out, he said, I'm winning $1 million this weekend. Feel free in the chat to toss in who is your stack. What do you like? Kramer, let's recap.
And I love the confidence, and not to go back in the time machine, but former DFS companion and friend of the program, Steve McFadden.
Okay.
He was always someone who thought confidence and winning posture was important to win. He used to do this thing when we were playing blackjack or pie gow, where he'd sit up and look like he won every hand because the dealer was going to make a mistake. So I love Terrell coming to the show with winning posture, saying he's going to win. All right, let's review last week. Right, Justin Fields.
Yes, Justin Fields.
45 and change. All right, so this is what really hurt me. Joe Mixon was in the rotation of 4 running backs I was rolling out this week in all my my cash stuff and even tournaments. And guess who I left on the table floor a lot more than I should have?
I'm gonna guess Joe Mixon. Yeah, no, Joe Mixon. In hindsight, he was like ready. He was like a juicy zit, just ready to pop and
won a lot of $25 double
mirror.
ups. Jesus. 58 points. I mean, that's a once a season type of deal. That's the stuff you remember, like Sean Alexander scoring 4 touchdowns. That was
5. That's crazy.
That was pre DFS too. Ramondre, another. He was like the chalk play. He only had 16.
He was probably not a good play for. I mean,
which it sucks that like how does he still get there then? It doesn't make sense. 30 for Hill, Kirk 21, Mooney, like you mentioned, 17, Komet 22. I mean, it's not even the craziest like efficient double stack. You got 40 from your receivers in the double stack.
Yeah.
It still comes down to Fields getting 45 or that's but at Walker 30. He was a guy I wasn't on enough last week, and he was the guy I faded last week actually. And New England defense. That was the one getting the Ramondre New England stack that you talked us off of on the pregame show.
Did I?
Yeah, because you didn't want to spend up for it. I think we adjusted
for a defense. Yeah,
and they ended up scoring 26 points. The obvious, even there, like
I guess just in general, I'm still a guy who punts on defense.
No, of course, but in that case, it I'm just reminding you I was right.
My fault.
Well, in that case, you did say we shouldn't play it, so I'm gonna take the W, and you're gonna take the L.
I did say you should take Darnell Mooney.
Well, and this is what happens, right? You start remembering all your wins, so I just have to point out a couple from time to time. All right,
I have a selective memory.
No guest. Do you want to go first, or should I?
Sure. Well, Terrell says Patrick Mahomes stack this week, which is pretty interesting to me. Do you just go chalky, Juju, and Kelsey, and then look to go contrarian elsewhere?
No, So I have a Mahomes lineup. I would single stack with the double bring back.
Okay, because I have some KC and Jags players. Yeah. I have a game stack. We'll get to that.
Got to have that game. That game's going to be involved, right?
Yeah. All right. I'll kick it off. And again, maybe I'm crazy, but am I just so crazy? It might work. Give me Kenny Pickett at home against this New Orleans defense. He's only $5,100. We forget that Kenny Pickett has a little bit of rushing upside. We forget that Kenny Pickett had a game where he had 2 rushing touchdowns. And I think with no Chase Claypool, it's very obvious where the targets are going to funnel, a la George Pickens. Not to tip my hand here, but it's going to be a lot of stuff to George Pickens. And we've seen the running game really struggle. I think if you're Mike Tomlin, even Matt Canada, you're thinking, how do we get Kenny Pickett on the move? That's what they're working on in this bye week. Get him on the move, get him running, maybe even some designed runs, some sneaks inside the goal line. I think the $5,100, and then I can go chalky, high spending on the rest of the players.
I think volume's there too. I think this game could be sneaky in pace. There's a lot to like with this game, honestly. Like when you asked me this morning, who guess who I'm going to go with my quarterback, I actually said Dalton first because I do think this game is interesting, and I think that this game is another game I'm going to want to get involved with. Okay, so before we started, Sean, I said I had a Trevor Lawrence lineup. Great point by Terrell to say Patrick Mahomes. Love this game from a stack perspective, but then I realized I made this other banger of a lineup, and it's going to be way more unpopular. Coming off the bye, the Lord himself, Russell Wilson.
Oh my God.
If you're ever going to get something from him, it's against this secondary, this Tennessee defense. They are beatable down the field. he's been. I mean, he's vain as fuck, so he has to hear all the shit at this point. People talking about him. As much as it's easy for me to tell you, Trevor Lawrence is a great play coming back from Kansas City. Let's get really weird here. Russell Wilson, Sean, you're gonna love this line.
Terrell in the chat just says Ryan.
Russell Wilson, 5,900.
Okay.
I don't project a lot of ownership on him.
Really? Why?
I
Because
think
he
people.
sucked?
I think he sucks. I think people think this game is going to be slower.
Yeah.
They got to go at some point. They got to go. And this feels like, unfortunately, the KJ Hamler midweek injury report addition.
Well,
it caused me to have to pivot the narrative a little.
I am playing one player on the Broncos. We'll get to him later on in my lineup, but I think there could be a little bit of value in some of these. Ryan, we also have a question in the chat. Maddie wants to know, he traded Pitts and Pierce for Andrews. Is that a W?
I mean,
the fact that you're getting anything for Kyle Pitts and Alec Pierce, I think, is a huge W.
I think Dameon Pierce or Alec Pierce.
Well, I don't know.
If it's Dameon Pierce, you like it still?
Well, I don't know. I haven't checked up on Andrew's injury because they're on bye. So
he'll be back. It sounds like he'll be fine. He'll be good after the bye.
Okay. Yeah. Then again, a lot of that you have to you have to kind of figure it out. I love Kyle in the chat. Big Vikings fans. He's also been really pushing the Perk Cousins nickname, which I think could be his rap name. Big P from Perk Cousins sipping on that drank. I considered.
Is it because he takes Percocets?
Well, yeah, that's like a rapper thing to do. So they call him Perk Cousins.
But I just feel like the way that he's acting, like that's not the right drug association.
No, it's probably like Adderall.
Isn't it isn't he just drinking scissor? Isn't that the character?
I think you have some Percocets mixed in there.
Oh, you crush that and throw it in there now?
I don't know. I'm not a codeine.
I mean, every kid's a fucking chef now. Who's got the time? It seems counter.
Perk Cousins is fire. All right, Ryan.
It is Dameon Pierce. So do you Pitts and Dameon Pierce for Andrews? Who wins that one?
Well, again, the obvious question is depends how you're doing on running back.
You probably.
I like Dameon Pierce, but no. Again, he doesn't do much for you in PPR. He's banged up now. That offense is shitty. If it's full point PPR, I think Andrews is the win.
Anytime you get the single player, it's an implicit win.
Yeah. All right. For me, speaking of the Texans team, their rush defense is horrible. Non-conference road spot. Giants coming off a bye. I'm sure he's going to catch massive ownership, but. Again, when you have Kenny Pickett, you don't have to worry about your ownership. I'm going Saquon Barkley 8,600. Right?
Whoa, yeah, pretty obvious play this week, right?
Yeah,
I do wonder. I mean, I have to imagine all the running backs, the pricier running backs, are going to catch some ownership. Barkley's so obvious this week against Houston.
But I would say, looking at some of these other running backs, Nick Chubb, I would be suspect against because Miami has randomly popped in the rush defense. Josh Jacobs, who knows now with the Colts, Shaq Leonard's out. He might be an interesting play, 7,600. Jonathan Taylor, he's not on the injury report. Is he an interesting play at 7,500, Ryan? Because what else are you gonna do? You have an O-lineman head coach who doesn't know shit about how to call plays. Isn't your first instinct just to give Jonathan Taylor 30 carries? But the other side would be your season's totally fucked. The owner might say, "Hey, don't get Jonathan Taylor injured again."
Hey, we traded for Zach Moss to run him into the ground so we can save Jonathan Taylor. I certainly think Matt Collins and Jonathan Taylor fit nicely together in a game stack. If you want to get really weird. 42 plus 75. You're spending almost 12,000, but you're getting a stud running back who's not.
Did you talk about Matt Collins?
Yeah, that's what I just said. That's who you stack him with. All right. So another pricey running back. I didn't have the salary for Saquon, and this lineup just again makes way too much sense. I think Barkley's going to crush him in ownership this week because Henry's going against a studly defense, or at least perceived to be studly defense. Not quite as good against the run, and they're still
good, but not as
Bradley
good.
Chubb was traded away. Numbers still need to be updated with weeks of data. Derrick Henry 8,300. Also coming off a game where he only got this kind of blew me away because of how close they played that game, and Malik Willis didn't really pass, but Henry only got 17 carries last week.
Well,
and no targets.
That is the only thing that scared me off Henry. Eye test
Still scored 26 points.
No, and he had a great game. Eye test or situationally, there were spots there in that game where it's like, why is Henry not getting the ball? Why is Derrick Henry on the sidelines? I'm wondering if there's some weird.
You think he's hurt?
I don't know if he's maybe not quite 100% or some weird load management. But you're like Vrabel. It just felt like
there was a little galaxy branding going on, putting Hilliard in the game, and
maybe anecdotally, but
create space by having.
I was just trying. I couldn't figure out why Vrabel. I mean, I like the play otherwise. That was the thing that scared me off. For me, I'm doing a bring back one New Orleans player, and he is Alvin Kamara. Coming off kind of a dud game for him. Otherwise, he's been very involved in the in pass catching, getting involved in the running game. And it just seems like him and Olave are a big part of that offense. I think he's gonna have a decent game, even with TJ Watt back. The Steelers are allowing 18.3 fantasy points per game to the running back position. Let's see, receptions, they're in the mix there as well. So yeah, I like Alvin Kamara a lot. I think you got to be, and like I had over 4.5 catches. He didn't get there. He only got 3, but just Andy Dalton got crushed. Like, why are you not giving him easy completions to Alvin Kamara?
Yeah, and we were discussing real quick. Denver actually 25th in line yards, so against the run they do struggle a little bit. I also have Kamara, and I think we were talking about this before the show, but I got in my own head. I kind of assumed Kamara would be a chalky play this week. I think he's a cash game guy as well because I think his floor is so high. He's going to get everything you said about the touches. Who else is getting the ball in this game? They don't have a reliable target at tight end. They don't have a reliable second receiver after Olave. I kind of think Tomlin might do some things to make Olave lives difficult. And I think Olave is going to be the more popular play the more that I think about it. So I'm with you.
Okay. Yeah, I was going back and forth.
I'm interested in this game, so I'll be stacking it. And the first leg of my game stack is Kamara. Kamara was the first guy I thought of as just he's going to be, his price is low, so maybe he catches a little ownership, but he just had such a down game. And when you look at that target workload over the season, 6, 9, 9,
seems
10,
like an outlier.
4, yeah, massive outlier. And you call it what it was. It was just a weird game. Baltimore might be really good. They're unlucky to be 6-3. They have an easy schedule. So the Saints, while I don't love them like as a team in this spot, I love Kamara to rack up the points in what I think might be more of a shootout than people are expecting.
For me, my first receiver, a Juju Smith-Schuster, only $6,000. It's clear he's the guy behind Travis Kelce. I mean, just watching that game against the Jags, Devontae Adams had plenty of room to run, some wide open opportunities, and it just seems like he has a real confidence in Juju. Now, maybe you look next level and you dig deep for like a Mecole Hardman or maybe MVS. This is where he gets those deep shots and connects. I'm looking for, at this price point, some consistent value and a nice game from Juju. And he had 12 targets, 10 catches for 88. You're almost surprised that he didn't get to 100 and get that bonus, didn't get that touchdown. I think maybe there's a little regression there as far as like maximum support. So, and kind of going off there for Juju. So Juju Smith-Schuster, 6,000 still feels like a very generous price for him. Am I crazy, Kramer?
No, I also have him in the line. I was actually scrambling to see if I could adjust it in a productive way. Stay tuned for that. No, I mean, I love the play. I think, he's in my lineup. He's what the fuck is going on? He's certainly
turn into youtube.com/sportsgambling podcast.
I don't need the fucking internet.
Ryan to go to war with the Apple TV.
It's telling me it's got fucking internet. All right. Yeah. The reason you like Juju is it also gives you a way to fade Kelce. My worry, I guess, thinking out loud, this would be the worry. people just saw he had a huge game. He had his biggest game of the year. He was a huge part of an offense where Mahomes dropped back the zillion times. And so I guess that's the counter argument, but I like it. I like that game as well.
Well, again, I think when you play Pickens as your quarterback, you're creating a lineup that I think inherently is pretty unique because I can't imagine his ownership is going to be very high.
Pickett?
Yeah. Oh, I keep calling him. I keep confusing Pickett and Pickens, but yeah.
But I mean, that's an interesting conversation because we talked about it last week. But we scrolled down and found that cheap quarterback like we used to back in the day.
Yeah.
And I wonder what people will think of this game. I guess that's the part I can't evaluate is like, do people think this is going to be a shootout? Because I kind of do. And if you do, it's very easy to make a Pickett double.
Mike Carnes checking in on the YouTube LFG with the exclamation point. Kevin Bermudez saying McCaffrey Eckler stack. That's interesting. I don't know what to make of that game as
For
far
Sunday
as the
night?
Chargers. I mean, obviously McCaffrey should have an awesome game. But
so I love the idea of going 5-1 where you're bringing back
showdown.
I mean, that's what he's talking. I guess if you're talking about full slate, yeah. I mean, it's generally pretty negative EV to stack running backs like that, but maybe those two are an exception.
Showdown, yeah.
But in a showdown for sure, like I like them as the one bring back in a regular full slate. Yeah, I mean, those two running backs make sense even in a situation because they're both going to be huge target hogs. All right. I was able to scramble and get off of Juju, so you can stand on that island by yourself.
Great. Juju Island.
So
who's your first receiver?
And by the way, for what Call of Duty is a positive for Juju and the Chiefs. So
team bonding. Although they didn't cover
just shows you it's all bullshit. Kyler's just not a great football player. All right. So
don't ruin the bet, Ryan.
I'm sorry. As I adjust around, let's go to this first stack. And I think, people are kind of getting on to Judy. Judy's been the better receiver of late. Give me Cortland Sutton. We talked about this all offseason. They have the chemistry. Again, coming off the bye, everything's going to be centered and going full. However, if Russ is going to do something, this is when he's going to do it. And he's going to do it with Sutton. Sutton's only 5,600. Again, a true alpha for only 5,600. Obvious stack here, but first leg of my double. I did double and I did bring it back.
So I'm going single stack. I have the bring back with Kamara. My stack, of course, is George Pickens, who
also have him.
Dog. The dude passes the eye test. Now he's coming off a goose egg game, but granted he went against one of the best defenses in the league, the Philadelphia Eagles. You
don't need a handicap. You just got to go listen to the coaches. Wide receiver coach, got to get Pickens. Offensive coordinator, got to get Pickens more.
They all say
head coach, got to get Pickens more.
And they traded Chase Claypool, so we haven't even seen the ceiling target wise with Pickens not in there, with Claypool not in there, and what Pickens could have now. And you throw in the fact that they're all saying the squeaky wheel narrative. We got to get him taken care of, and he's only $5,000.
Is he a cash? Are you playing him in your cash lineup?
I don't know. I always struggle with what's the cash and what's not. But
high floor. I mean, I think he's
he's a high floor, high ceiling guy.
Well, he's not. He can't be a high. I don't think he's a high floor guy because we're basing this mostly off things that people have said.
Okay.
Right. Like I think so, but at 5,000, he's intriguing because that's awfully cheap, and he's my second receiver. I love the play. Stacked him with Kamara. Like I said, I want to be involved in this game. I think I'm gonna have to after our conversation here. It does make me think Deontay Johnson might be forgotten about this weekend. Freiermuth, I think, will be a little bit more popular. Maybe we'll get to him in a second, but love Pickens here. True alpha. We should have a show out spot in a situation where hopefully look, the Saints have played good defense from time to time. Hopefully they don't show up here and this feels like a Kenny Pickett show out game, right? Pickett to Pickens wins you $1 million. That's not possible.
Wouldn't be surprised.
All right, so that I've given out 2 receivers now.
Okay.
So you're on receiver 3.
I'm on receiver 3, and I'm going with Isaiah McKenzie at home, 4,700 against the Buffalo Bills. I just don't know if Case Keenum can take advantage of Gabe Davis. Obviously,
no, he can't.
What?
I agree. He cannot take advantage of Gabe Davis.
No, right? Like
he's a decoy at this point. I love this angle.
No, like Gabe Davis is just going to run wind sprints. Isaiah McKenzie is the clear number 3. They've even done some gadget stuff with Isaiah McKenzie running the ball. So if you're going to do some like jet sweeps, that kind of stuff, I think Isaiah McKenzie is the guy. And I think you're getting essentially what I would have as like the Bills' second receiver at only 4,700. I think it's a great spot for him. So yeah, give me Isaiah McKenzie.
Got to evaluate playing that game too. I think it's going to be a very between the weather report and just the fact that you're getting Case Keenum. I think it's going to be an under-owned game.
I can't imagine this catches a ton of ownership. So yeah, give me Isaiah McKenzie.
And it has the possibility of being a game that scores some points. I mean, Minnesota can draw people into a shootout, as can the Bills with Josh Allen. We don't know about Case Keenum and his footwork. Are we still on that? Has he improved his footwork since being?
So it's still not great. I mean, people were talking about him like he was going to be MVP, and I was the only guy who so I shit on Case Keenum that entire season.
Yeah, Keenum and Tua,
and then he was highly unsustainable, and then we never heard from him again. He's back up.
Are you suggesting Tua's on a similar path?
I'm suggesting Tua's success might be a fragile build ride, as they say in the DFS lineup.
All right, requires
DFS world
requires Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle to be successful. All right, a wide receiver 3 for me. This is gonna kick off a game stack with Kansas City Jacksonville. Give me Zay Jones. Target volume been there, hasn't exactly done a ton, but 18 targets over the last 3 games. I know 10 of those were against the Giants. What was going on in that game? There were opportunities to attack the secondary, just like there will be here against the Chiefs. Lots of people in the Trevor Lawrence builds will tell you he's been pretty good. He's been a QB1 in terms of EPA, fantasy points, and a number of metrics. So if you put him in a game where they're going to score some points, or they're going to have opportunity to score some points, because the Chiefs certainly will draw them along and should have success against that defense. Love someone else other than Christian Kirk to get some targets, and it seems like Evan Ingram's pretty banged up. Zay Jones, professional receiver, and once had a crazy fucking incident in a hotel where he was running around naked and bloody.
Forgot about that.
But you remember what Derek Carr kept saying about this dude? He was the best receiver on the Raiders last year. He's had some games, so he looked good against the Giants. It was just kind of like 10 targets, only 4 catches. So Zay Jones, 4,400, a way to get into this game a little bit cheaper and a little bit different than Sean because Christian Kirk and Juju will fit in the same stack price that I'm giving out here. So Zay Jones, 4,400, wide receiver 3.
Okay, moving over to my tight end. He's one of the few guys that I think you could say is having a good season on the Broncos offense. It's been limited because he hasn't played the whole season, but give me Greg Dulcich.
No Freiermuth here.
No. And secretly the Saints are one of the best teams fantasy wise against the tight end.
They did it against Likely, even though he randomly,
he was also fucking wide open and Lamar missed him. So that really could have broke some metrics there, but I like Dulcich here. And Dulcich is one of those guys. What's working with this Broncos offense? Not much, except getting Greg Dulcich involved. And so, of course, Chargers game, his first game, 2 for 44. He breaks off that long touchdown.
First touchdown.
Then 6 for 51. And now 4 for 87. So his receiving yards continue to go up.
And how do you attack the Tennessee defense?
Over the middle. I like that.
Stretching the field, stretching the seam. 2 things that a speedy tight end can do.
And KJ Hamler, it doesn't sound like if he does go, he's not going to be 100%. Okay, so that makes me. Then who's going to be catching the ball over the middle of the field? It's got to be Greg Dulcich.
And who's going to be throwing him the ball, Sean? Russell Wilson. Let's go.
You also have Dulcich.
He's my tight end, obviously. If I'm going to play Russ Wilson, I got to correlate.
You got to double it up with Dulcich. I noticed in the Millie Maker, you can't play. I feel like earlier in the year they let you dabble with the tight end, with the 6:30 games. But this slate doesn't include it.
No. Yeah, the Millie Maker slate does never include it.
I thought it did for the Bills or for the Vikings. I don't know. I could have been crazy because I do like Kate Otten again.
They would have to been pretty confident they were going to fill it typically the Millie Maker doesn't fill until
that's true
30
too.
minutes
Yeah,
before
because I was
lock.
like, the Seahawks aren't great against the tight end. So if you're looking for a tight end and somehow Kate Otton's still available, I do like that.
We should, you know what? We should fuck around with some full slate because the Niners Chargers game is an interesting fantasy wise. So maybe I'll fire off some lineups in that too. I mean, I'll be here grinding. Even though the F1 race isn't early, I'll be here to watch NFL football.
Ryan, all right, for my flex, I'm going Travis Etienne Jr. I mean, the matchup's great. To your point, Ryan, you said what? Christian Kirk's a little banged up.
No. I just said that Christian Kirk's going to be popular. I think he's going to be a popular play at 5,900. Etienne still. I mean, I have him in tons of lineups, not this one. So he's still underpriced.
He's mega chalky, but if you're giving a guy 30 touches a game, how can you not take him at $7,100? You almost don't even have to think of the efficiency, and it's against this KC defense, which struggles against the run. And even if the game gets out of hand, I still think they are going to have to give him the ball. Like he's one of their few playmakers. It's him, Christian Kirk.
It was hard for me to, like, when making a Lawrence lineup. It's my instincts are, well, don't go Etienne because that will be chalky. Go two of Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram. It's just hard this week to want to do that. Etienne's getting the ball, even if they're down, he's going to be involved in the screen game. All right, my flex. So we stacked New Orleans, Pittsburgh with George Pickens and Alvin Kamara. We have a Russ Sutton Dulcich bring back with Henry. And I told you we were going to stack the Jacksonville Kansas City game starting with Zay Jones. Well, the completion of that is Travis Kelce at 7,800.
I consider Kelce as well. I mean,
well, you went so my original was Kirk and Juju.
Yeah.
I pivoted to, which I like this one better actually, Zay and Travis Kelce.
Okay, yeah, that's fun.
Once again, I don't expect Kelce to be super duper owned here, even though he's coming off a 17 target game. He only scored 23 points in a 17 target game. That's almost underperformance. He's now 108, 98, 106 last three. No touchdowns though. He has not scored a touchdown since his 4 TD game against the Raiders, where he somehow scored 4 touchdowns and only 33 fantasy points. All of this is to say, I feel like he's been underperforming. This is an opportunity. We've seen teams expose this Jaguars defense over the middle. Kelce, this is a smash spot, and I think the Juju performance last week will kind of bring some ownership his way. I don't expect a lot of. You think Mahomes doubles will be popular? They're awfully expensive. Kind of feel like I need to fire one of those off with Juju and Kelce, but. Going 2 tight ends this week, Sean. Kelce and Dulcich.
12 personnel, Ryan. You know I'm a fan.
Yeah.
All right. For my defense, this one I kind of stumbled upon, but give me the Arizona Cardinals at the Rams, 2,700. Cardinals are actually 6 in points per game for defense. They randomly have a couple sacks. I think they're in the mix for a touchdown.
I thought
and then we either have an injured Stafford, a cloudy Matt Stafford, or we have the Wolford or Wofford.
What's his name? Wolford.
Wolford of Wall Street. Either a cloudy Matt Stafford or Wolford of Wall Street.
How do you get a concussion in the middle of the week?
I don't know. and Stafford coming off back-to-back games without an interception. He's due. I think this Rams team turns the ball over, and their offensive line has really struggled, and I think this Cardinals defensive line might be able to get a little rush on them. So I like the Cards defense here, matchup wise. I can't really think too much about ownership of defense.
Well, you're supposed to avoid chalk. I don't think the Cardinals will be chalky.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine the Raiders are going to be chalky. Maybe even the Vikings, if Case Keenum starts, I would imagine being chalky. I don't mind the Colts defense. I don't know. Actually, you probably don't need to play that. The Cardinals are 2,700. They fit that nice spot of, they are on the road, but still, I think the price point makes.
They have a 32 next to them. That's the biggest thing you have going against you. They're a little like the cheapest defense that has the green next to them. All right. I had
James S saying, what WTF as a Cards fan? You're crazy. Am I crazy? The Rams are one of the worst teams at scoring points in the league.
They own the Cardinals though.
Yeah. But
I mean,
that's
that's
old Rams.
As a Cardinals fan, that's what they're reacting to.
Yeah, and James
we are
pointing out
owned
saying,
by Sean McVay.
what is the defense rank? 30th? It doesn't really matter for like yards and stuff like that. It matters. Can they create some turnovers?
We played the Jets defense, cheapest defense against the Bills. Yeah. You almost want to play defenses in higher scoring games. So, which brings up my question. I have 2,200 to spend, which means I can either go Vikings or Jags. I have a Jags game stack.
Yeah, I wouldn't play Jags defense if you have Kelsey.
I have Kelsey and Zay Jones. Will the Vikings defense be popular going against a backup?
I could see that. I don't know.
Then I'll go Vikings defense.
Okay.
I'm going against Keenum.
Yeah, it's some.
I can talk that could materialize into some points pretty easily. All right, so Russell Wilson, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, Zay Jones, Cortland Sutton, George Pickens, Greg Dulcich, Travis Kelce, and Vikings defense.
I got you: Kenny Pickett, Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara, Juju Smith-Schuster, George Pickens, Isaiah McKenzie, Greg Dulcich, Travis Etienne Jr., and the Cardinals defense.
So do we have any best ball updates? I feel like you typically like to do a little roster baiting, pointing out your
well, I mean, all the Justin Fields lineups are coming back from the grave. I think. Do
you have enough time? What is it? We have 3-4 weeks until the first advancement.
So I have 22 entries total right now. 5 are advancing. But I also have 1, 2, 3, 4 that are in third place. So you got to get top 2 to advance. So 4 being in third place and 5 advancing. I feel pretty good about where I'm at. Shout out to Andrew Robb, who's like, what is he? Top 360.
How do you find that out?
I think they released a list of the top 500. I don't know how you sort it on Underdog. But how are you doing advance rate, Ryan? Do you want to do any roster baiting?
That's pretty I would say, I don't know. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I'm certainly, I have some very strong lineups. It's interesting if you click through your lineups though, Sean, because like some of my lineups that are nearing 1,200 points also seem to be drawing dead based on injuries. But the lineups where I took Kenneth Walker, obviously doing well. It looks like I'm right around 20%, but same thing as you, number of third places, fourth places. And you have those teams where you're starting to get stuff right late.
Ooh, Ryan, we're in one of the leagues we're both in. You're in first place with 1150. We got Elijah Mark at 1117, and I'm right there hanging around at 1104. I did a quad stack with my quarterbacks: Mahomes, Lawrence, Wilson. But I have Christian McCaffrey. I somehow drafted Zeke, Elijah Mitchell, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Damian Pierce is in this one. This is the team where I only have 4 receivers, but they're Mike Evans, AJ Brown, Amari Cooper, Jarvis Landry, Zach Ertz, Robert Tonyan.
That's the other
very weird.
The other big thing that I notice is the teams that truly have paths to success. You have to go fragile with the running backs and just get it right.
Yeah,
you have to go for 4 running backs, maybe 5. But yeah,
although this my most successful lineup right now is Josh Allen, Brady. So we'll see with Josh Allen. But then we got Damian Pierce, Tyler Algier, Khalil Herbert, Jamal Williams.
You just got to look at your ownership and see like where am I gonna like. To me, like a lot of my quarterback stuff with Mariota and some of these Goff, like that maybe has started to peak. But like I'm Rashad White and Michael Carter are 2 of my highest owned running backs. Those guys are starting to ascend. So yeah, Khalil Herbert as well. I know you were on him a lot, and just like the stuff like Kadarius Toney going from completely dead to maybe he does something. Probably not. But DJ Moore, got a lot of him. That's exciting. Garrett Wilson. I don't know. It seems like the thing that I got most right was taking a lot of Zach Wilson and mega Jet stacks. Like I have a lot of like Zach Wilson with 4 Jets receivers, and not Breece Hall. Never Breece Hall. Always Michael Carter. So. Yeah,
no, I have some of those that are paying dividends. Hey, we will be back later today live on YouTube doing our NFL props episode. YouTube.com/sports gambling podcast. Of course, head over to the merch store. Got a bunch of fun holiday gear up there. And of course, all our other sick ass merch. Use that promo code Dallas Sucks. 10% off. Dong has got to be the next promo code. Yeah, and Ryan Pagani pointing out Elijah Moore being a huge pussy.
He's on a lot of those teams. Unfortunately, I wasted stock on him.
I still can't. We got to do a deeper dive and figure out what the fuck happened there, because he was Zach Wilson's boy last year. How does that go so wrong? We'll get to that, and of course the prop show coming up, and then the pregame show 9 a.m. Pacific.
Brees Hall, 1.8% of my teams. Michael Carter, 25%. Suck it, world.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, second the money green, and he is Ryan.
Sean, let's get a Millie.
Kramer, let it ride.
Terrific snatch.